Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sel with GNL. I'm your host, Gage Nicholas Lujan, yet again with another episode. Today, boy, do we have a guest for you. He's an award-winning speaker, the creator of Mindshift 360, a host of a show he used to do on iHeartRadio called It's All Good. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to love him as much as I do, and I've only spent about 30 minutes with him before this. Rodney Allgood.
Great to be here. Love it.
I'm glad to have you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. So real quick, I got to tell the story of how we met because it was just like divine timing. So my best friend is in town from Japan. Hadn't seen him in over 2 years. He's in the Air Force. So the fact that you met me that night with the most important person in my life was awesome. And we're sitting there, we're having a cigar. And I tell him, I see you sitting by yourself, and I'm like, should we invite him over? Like, I want to talk to him. You just had like this energy about you that was just like, I want to know this man. And so I go up and I relight my cigar, come back, sit down, and I start singing Stevie Wonder. And so you turn around and go, I was stuck in an elevator with Stevie Wonder one time.
Yeah, my birthday, like 3 months ago.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, that's how it started. We invited you to the table, and that night you just completely blew my mind because I had told you then it was like you were speaking things that I knew, but in ways that I wasn't able to vocalize them before, and then things that I've been searching for that just completely, like, just made things come full circle.
Always pay attention to serendipitous meetings.
Yep.
It's always a reason.
Yep. And so I had to spend more time with you and document it to make sure I could share it with other people. You speak to a bunch of people all over the country. Go ahead and share a little bit about that and what it is you do.
Well, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 22.
So like 6 years ago?
Actually, that was 33 years now. Yeah. I started my first business. I was in the sewage pumping business in Hawaii, in Maui, and moved on to, actually had an AC duct cleaning business, and always had an entrepreneurial mind, and ideas just always kept coming to me, and I was really into personal development, and I just had a calling to teach people things I kind of naturally knew, or things I was learning. And just had this calling to speak. I got divorced and my life kind of fell apart. And I said, I've got to restructure it. Let's do it a different way. Let's go for the passions of life. And I got involved in a network marketing company once and got to the top of that company. And the part I really loved about it was speaking in front of audiences.
Yep.
Right? Not selling the products, but speaking in front of audiences. And that stuck with me. And just decided to go for it about, I guess it's been about 9 years now.
That's awesome. So before you pivoted and started speaking with the passions of life, like what was Rodney like before then? What consumed you?
Business ideas. I was just consumed with creating things. But, when you have a calling that's as strong as mine was, you look back at your life and you'll see that you may have been out of alignment your whole life. I mean, I'm not supposed to be pumping septic systems.
Yeah.
That's not my calling. And that's my message to people out there. Really pay attention to that calling inside. If something just gnaws at you and it won't go away, it's probably why you're here.
Yeah.
It's probably what you're here to make a difference doing. And you never want to take your dreams to the grave with you. You know what I mean? You want to get it out.
That's a good way to put it. You don't take anything with you when you're gone, So speaking in front of, schools, conferences, when you first started, I mean, what was the first gig like? How did you how did you take that leap? Because like that's where I'd like to be once I get to a place where I'm ready,
It's a funny story, and this speaks to the law of attraction. When I decided I was going to be a youth speaker, and that's why I started as a youth speaker, speaking in high schools, I'd bought this DVD series of, I forget what the guy's name was, but he was teaching how to get paid from schools. And I was studying this DVD series. And I said, you know, I really need a mentor to teach me the game, teach me how to make money speaking. Speaking's easy, but I didn't know the business. So I went on, I was living in Hawaii. I went on the speaking bureau sites, 3 of the speaking bureaus, to find me somebody on the speaking bureau that I could track down and maybe I could have lunch and he could teach me how to do the game. And I keep seeing this one face. It was Wally Famous Amos. You are too young to remember Famous Amos, but back in the 80s, he was huge. He was Mrs. Fields before Mrs. Fields. He had cookie stores all over America. You can still find the cookies in the grocery mart. But anyway, Wally Famous Amos kept popping up on all these speaking bureau sites as a speaker because he lived in Hawaii. So I decide to send him a message on Facebook telling him I want to meet him. So I find him on Facebook. I send him a message. This was December 27, 2011.
December 27th?
2011.
That's my birthday.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Aligned.
More alignment coming in. But anyway, I sent him the message, and I keep checking my phone to see if he responded to the message. He hadn't responded. My mom had a doctor's appointment. I took my mom to the doctor, brought her back, checked my phone again. He hadn't responded. I pull out of my mom's complex. I take a left turn. Who's getting out of his car a block from my mom's apartment?
No way.
I go, that's Famous Amos. I parked my car, walked across the street. I said, Mr. Amos, this is crazy. I sent you a message literally 24 hours ago saying I wanted to meet you. And he goes, what's your name, son? I said, I'm Rodney. He goes, Rodney, you think this is crazy? I go, yeah, this is real crazy. He goes, son, it's not crazy at all. The universe is in perfect alignment. You're standing exactly where you should be standing. How can I help you? And we just became fast friends. We barely talked about speaking. I did not tell him I wanted to speak to youths. He just became like an uncle I never had. And about 3 weeks after meeting him, he calls me up one morning. He goes, Rodney, what are you doing? I said, I just woke up. Man, put some clothes on. I'm picking you up. I said, where are we going? We're going to Farrington High School. I need to go speak to the kids. So he picks me up, go to the school. I'm watching him speak. Halfway through his presentation, he goes, and I brought a very special friend with me today, and he puts me on with no warning.
Wow.
And I got up, and I knocked it out of the park. And there was a counselor from that school that said, you know, Mr. Allgood, you're very good at what you do. I'm in charge of a statewide program for alternative learning, and the whole state of Hawaii needs to hear you speak. And that's how I became a youth speaker.
That's magical.
It's magical.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. So when you get in alignment, when you get in your lane, magic happens. You just have to take the first steps.
Yep. I'm a firm believer in finding, where you're supposed to be, being
Right.
passionate about what you're doing and wanting to help people.
Right.
I don't know what the statistic is, but it's like 80% of people who get their real estate license lose it within a year. They don't do a deal. They don't stay. The attrition's terrible.
Right.
And I got into it, and it was hard, but I absolutely loved what I was doing. And I believed, and I still believe, that I'm helping people in getting their first home, creating wealth, money that they didn't have before and can now use it for other investments or another house and, start investing into themselves and pursuing their passions and their dreams. And I think that's I believe that that's why I've had the success I have, because I'm truly trying to help people in my avenue, right? But I've hit a wall, and I want to start just helping and pushing the message of not only what I do, right? But I think what's more important is my mindset during the process and the things that I've learned, the people I've encountered, the crazy happenstances that ended up seeming like fate after they happen, and trying to help people to realize, like, these things happen. You just have to pay attention and know that they can.
Well, it's passion that gets you through the tough times.
Yeah.
I like to say success has a filter. It's a natural filter you got to get through. That's why it's so bountiful on the other side of the filter, because most people don't make it through the filter. In real estate, your first year or two is going to be rough, right? But you got to have a passion that gets you through that. If you're only driven by money,
Get nowhere.
it's usually not enough.
Yep.
Money is a byproduct of you doing something well. Passion allows you to do to do it for a greater reason. It's like a musician who loves music. They'll be sitting in a bar watching another band play, and they got to get on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a very famous person who makes, $200,000 a show, but they'll get on stage and play for the love of music. They have a passion for it. And success comes from your passion, right? So you've got to have a bigger reason. And the drive that you have, it's quite admirable because that drive is what's going to take you to greater heights. That drive is going to open doors for you as you go along. It's that drive, that passion.
So when you're speaking to students or, at schools, your own students, if you're mentoring them, just anyone you're speaking to, like every comedian has their bit and they'll go through and they'll do, their show, but then next year it's a new one, right? So how often do you change your message, and like what is it that what's your message now?
I've never written a speech in my life.
Just straight from here.
I don't write speeches, so I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth when I speak.
Mm-hmm.
Because I truly feel it's my purpose. I truly feel like I'm a vessel for the message.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never the same anyway. So I never have to change it because it's never the same.
You just kind of like you just know what it is you have to speak to.
There's times I speak at maybe it's a university or something, and the auditorium's only so big, so I speak twice.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are there twice, you said totally different things. It's the same message.
Yeah.
The backbone is the same message, but I never say the same thing, so it's not something I have to really think about. It just goes where it goes.
That's awesome. So I don't know if I should put you on the spot, right? It's like when you see like a medium and you're like, oh, do you see my family here? And you put them on the spot, right? But I'm going to do it anyways. So like you're sitting in here, you're downstairs, you're driving here. What's coursing through your veins? What are you feeling?
I try not to think too much.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to really project anything. Just stay in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I speak, before I go on, I'll have somebody come get me. I'll let them know where I am. But I have a pair of headsets on, and I'm just listening to music that puts me in a zone. I don't want thoughts.
Mm-hmm. And what's that music for you?
It's meditative type of music, something that centers me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want thoughts. I don't want to overthink it. I want to just go with what comes, and I've learned to trust that it always comes.
That's awesome. I'm a total, like, I have thoughts all the time. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of moments where I get into a flow state and it's just like water. Mm-hmm. Is it just like, what could I do to better my flow state? Get the thoughts not just compiling and running, but to really just start coming out.
I think the biggest thing is to remember it's not about you.
Okay.
Right? I remember the first time I spoke in front of a big crowd. It was 5,000 people. It was here in Vegas. I was still living in Hawaii, but it was at the Rio Hotel. It was 5,000 people. It was my first big crowd. And the guy before me was amazing. I mean, he was so polished. Mm-hmm. And I said, man, I got to follow this dude. I mean, he's so good. I mean, he might be the best speaker I've ever seen. And I just was a little worried about it at first. But when I went out there and did my thing, we were walking to lunch after I got done, and about 3 people said, you were the best guy all morning. I said, thank you, but I beg to differ because that guy before me was one of the best speakers I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. And they said, Rodney, yeah, he was good. He was polished, but you were real. And I never forgot that. Mm-hmm. So I just trust that what comes out was supposed to come out, and it's not about me. I'm just the vessel it comes through. Mm-hmm. So ego can work 2 different ways, right? Ego could be where you think too much of yourself, but ego is also when you get intimidated and you're worried about how you are going to stack up against that guy. Instead of just saying, he's giving his gift his way, and the gift that comes through me comes through my way. So the audience is blessed because they have us both. Mm-hmm. It's not a competition. So to get in that flow state, you just got to trust that you're the vessel. You don't worry about it. And what comes through, comes through.
And it was just a feeling you had for a long time and just started trusting it.
100%.
Any practices?
There's a couple things I do. I have a way of kind of stalling, kind of killing time for about 2 minutes. Sometimes it's poetry, sometimes it's some things that I have memorized that I just use until I feel the message coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one trick I have. Sometimes I don't feel it right away.
Yeah.
But a minute or two in, I got it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's I have things that I do in my flow state. Essentially, though, a lot of them are surrounded like by sports, right? So when I'm out on the ice skating or when I'm rock climbing, when I'm on the golf course, like I truly am just completely thoughtless, being the vessel, hitting my shot, on the dot, having to stop on the ice and shift. And I'm trying and wanting and pursuing more knowledge, right, from you to try to figure out how to do that without so much craziness.
I'm assuming you read a lot or you take in a lot of knowledge, right?
I do.
So what happens is it all kind of comes back out, right? I mean, if you know a lot about a subject, and I think it's important to know a lot about your subject matter. Don't do something that's outside your wheelhouse.
Yep.
But if you know a lot about a subject matter, all of the things that you've read and you've watched and you've taken in, it just kind of comes out. And if you know a lot about it, like, again, skating. What kind of skating do you do?
Ice skating.
Ice skating. Okay, so, I mean, that's a subject you're going to know a lot about. That's a subject that you probably could speak 30 minutes very easily on from all your experiences, right? So what happens is if you're comfortable with the subject matter, you're going to be good.
Okay.
And with speaking, you want to speak by bullet points, not by memorizing everything, right? Because with bullet points, you can look at the clock and know where you're supposed to be. And what you feel in between the bullet points can change. You're in that flow state. But the bullet points are keeping you on track. So you're not kind of going off track and losing your way.
That's a good way to look at it. I just, everything I do is 100 miles an hour. Like hockey's crazy, aggressive, commotion. The closest thing I have to actually being like calm, still is golf. Okay. And it's taught me so much more about myself.
Right.
For the last 2 years, I thought I might have like ADD or ADHD. Never been diagnosed, never thought it was a problem. But after hearing friends who do have it or speakers talk about it and somebody says, it always feels like my brain has to have a song on.
Right.
Like it has to use part of its energy to create a song or a beat. And that's like what my brain does. So I've learned if I put on a song or I listen to a podcast, now I can take care of the 10 other things that are filling my brain one at a time, calmly, soothly, which before just didn't happen. So I'm still in this learning process of, I've been more aware of just, mental health, therapy, why we are the way we are for probably the last 3-4 years. And finally now it's just, I'm getting to a place where I can sit down with myself and not have a lot of outside noise.
What's great about you two is you're ahead of the game. I mean, how old are you?
I'll be 28 next month.
Right, so you're thinking about things that people at 45 usually think about and ask. So you're way ahead of the game. So I think you're going to be just fine.
Well, I'm trying. If I got people like you I'm watching and learning from.
Yeah, you're good.
So when you're not speaking, I mean, how are you getting out there to find more people to listen? Is it, again, it's just coming, you're letting it happen? Are you active on social media? What is it that you do?
I put on a lot of my own events. I mean, I have a group of about 11,000 people that follow me on one of my Facebook groups that come out of religious cults. I was raised in a very high control religion. And I've been the last maybe 4 or 5 years, I've really been focusing on that group and growing that group. So I create my own events out of that.
That's
I
awesome.
have a lot of people, high schools and some colleges that ask me to come back over and over again. But I like to create my own kind of world, and it's been working for me. Finding people who really need personal development, who aren't in a typical niche.
So that's where Mindshift 360
Right.
comes in, right?
Right.
So obviously that's like the goal of doing that then is personal development.
Sure.
With you, do you mind if we talk about kind of the religious background you have?
Sure.
So, I mean,
Yeah. So
what was that like?
yeah, I was raised a Jehovah's Witness,
Okay.
and it's a very controlling kind of faith. Some good people in it, but it really stunts people from going on their own path. Everything's about serving the religion. So, when people leave a religion like that, they get shunned by their families, they get shunned by the world that they knew, and they're very lost. So I help those people to kind of find themselves, to get back in touch with what's inside. Your answers are all inside of you. A lot of times we go looking outside for answers and things to fix our problems, but the answers are within. So it's just a group of people that I've been really effective at helping because I grew up in that life.
Yeah.
And I think for any speaker or anybody that wants to help people, the first thing you need to do is look at the course of your own life. What have you learned? What was your path?
Yep.
And some of the things that were your greatest challenges become your treasure chest. That's what you teach from. So it's not something I initially wanted to do, but when I learned that my path has value, that there are people who are walking the same path,
Yep.
I kind of paused, and I spend a lot of time doing that. Though I still speak at conferences and conventions, I spend a lot of time with these people.
That's beautiful. I think, I mean, whether you're raised with or without a father or a mother, or you go through trials and tribulations growing up, you have an experience. You're an exception to the rule that they thought was there, right? And you've felt their hurt.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, if they knew that, hey, regardless of the situation, it could just be anxiety, not just, but it could be anxiety, depression, and whatever caused them to go through that, like, you're not alone, right? There have people that have gone through that. And I think it takes someone big like yourself to step up and say, hey, that was me, and then share that knowledge and the path you've gone on that's gotten you to where you are.
I think most people just need light at the end of the tunnel with whatever you're going through. And, life on planet Earth is challenging. I don't believe this planet was meant to be easy. It's got the polar opposites of everything, right? It's a world of duality. Tall, short, big, small, light, darkness, good, bad. And it's just learning to navigate and learning who you are and beginning to love yourself. Almost every problem, when someone's dealing with depression or someone's lost their way, it always roots back to self-love. I coach a lot of people too. I probably coach more than I speak right now. But it always roots back to love of self. When you love yourself, everything becomes possible.
So you said something there. When you're coaching and you're talking to them, obviously there's no agenda. You have to hear what it is that they're going through. If they don't find you through your group, knowing your background, have you ever, I guess, not been able to relate with someone because it was completely opposite, but you still directed them to the right person?
The people who
They come to you for a reason. Then.
Yeah.
They find
Well,
you.
there's people that their issues need to be handled by a professional, put it that way. I do see that from time to time. But most times I know what to do.
Okay.
Right? There's only so many elements in a person. Right? There's about maybe 6 different things that people are dealing with, just a different mix of them. But it's not a billion different things. And really, in coaching people, if there's only any coaches out there watching me, and coaching people, what you're trying to do is you're trying to change their perspective or give them an added perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really fixing as much as getting people to look at a broader scale. I often say it's kind of like someone looking out of a window, and this house is supposed to have an awesome view. You keep hearing that it's got an awesome view, and I ask you, what's outside that window? You say a brick wall. And you keep looking, there's a brick wall. Well, my job is to turn you around, take a few steps the other way, and it's the best view of the Pacific Ocean that you've ever seen. And from that point on, you'll never look out that back window.
Yep.
So it's just changing your perspective, because all possibilities exist if you can get people to expand to see that the possibilities exist.
Mm-hmm. So you said, you kind of mentioned it earlier, but do you believe it's challenging living here on Earth?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had conversations with people where they say, we are souls just living the human experience. But do you believe that before we were here, that our souls chose to be here?
I believe that. I believe that some of us are here on assignment. I believe that at this point in time, there are a lot of people here that are just helping to raise the consciousness. I think there's a shift that's going on. People like you that are conscious at a young age, that are helping to raise the consciousness by what you're doing here, having a podcast, by having a different focus than what's been in the world. I think the world that we have been in, that's just power hungry and kind of based on domination. I think there's a shift going on.
There's a big shift.
There's a shift going on.
There's a lot more like content to eat up online. There's a lot more people I come into contact with where, they think and talk about things that they won't put on TV.
It was taboo.
Yeah.
Just a few years ago, talking about certain things that is commonplace to talk about now. It's changed a lot. Information is just so readily available.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that some of us are here with an assignment to help guide people. And when you have a really strong calling like you have or like I had, it's there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't go away. It gnaws at you. You have to do it.
Yeah. I have a good friend. I met her. She was a client first. Met her. She is a medium. She does energy work and essentially helps people find their higher place, and what you do just in her own way. But she has said that she's here on an assignment, just like you've said. But she also says that I've had many lives. I know that I've had many lives. I've seen them. I remember them. And I know that this is my last life, at least here on Earth, because of the assignment I have now. Is that something, do you see it that way also?
I do. I don't know which life this is. I can't say that part, but absolutely. I absolutely feel that people are really stepping into their calling, and there's a knowing. I think more than ever, you'll see these kids who are like 12 years old that talk like they're 40.
Yeah.
These indigo, children, these starseed kids. It's different. People are different, and there's a shift that's happening for sure.
Do you think, and I say this just because there's a lot of information out right now, whether it's the rapture's coming or nuclear war, right? The world is crazy right now with just a lot of negativity, or people see the rapture as a good thing, right? But do you think that there is going to be a definitive end coming soon, or the end is just a conscious shift?
I think there's many roads.
Yep.
There's different possibilities. I don't think it's destined to be one way or another. We have free will, we have choice.
Mm-hmm.
But if things did come to an end, it won't be the first time, right? I mean, everything's eternal. In my opinion, everything's eternal. So it's not like I just sit and worrying about it. I mean, we've had cataclysmic things happen in history before. You just can worry about your time right now and what you do with this lifetime, what you do in this incarnation, the value you bring the world. I believe our obligation is to get our gifts that we are given. Everyone's given gifts. The difference is some people are aware of it, others aren't. Your obligation is to deliver your gift to this world while you're in it and not play small, not hold it to yourself. You know, in my speaking, I do poetry. I like to say, poem for you now.
Go for it.
It's called The Gift. It goes like this. There's a gift that dwells inside of you, bestowed by the universe. Your purpose lives within your heart, for it was given to you at birth. Your worth is not in question, but it's doubt that won't let you see the greatness that resides inside of you. It's your belief that sets it free. This gift is not for you. Your gift is for us all. So consider it as selfishness if you don't heed your call. This life that we are blessed to live is not merely to exist. It's time to change your point of view, to take time to ponder this. Now imagine yourself old and your life is in review. Will you be filled with regret of the things you did not do? Or will you have an empty feeling as you sit and stare, knowing that you will leave this earth with a gift you failed to share? So live to leave a legacy, and always remember this, that you are one of a kind and that you were born to shine, and your purpose is your gift.
Just give a moment of silence for that. I'm taking that all in. Did you take that all in? I hope I'm posting that, just so you know, and I hope that blows up. And I want to listen to that probably every day moving forward. Is that you?
Yeah.
And that just came to you one day.
So that's part of the channeling. I wake up with poems. I never try to write a poem.
Mm-hmm.
Poems just come to me. And when I grab a pen and start writing it down, it's like, it feels like I'm dictating.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of them. Part of what I'm known for as a speaker is I'm a poet. So in the course of a speech, I'll usually give 3 or 4 poems that have to do with the subject matter of what I'm talking
That was beautiful.
about. Yeah.
You have children?
2.
2? Do you... they obviously have to know how awesome their dad is. But do you feel like they have been able to take in all that you know, or are you still working on that?
My kids are grown.
Mm-hmm.
My son's 29. My daughter's 19. Mindset, you know. The main thing is the mindset, because they have their path.
Yeah.
I was never a dad that tried to make my kids believe what I believe or
100%.
do what I do.
I just don't know if...
But the mindset is absolutely...
Being your child and having you every day. I don't know if you've been like this for a long, long time, or maybe when they were kids, but it's just like, how do you not want to eat it up? You know?
Yeah.
It's beautiful, Rodney.
Thank you.
100%. Usually I know how to lead off. I don't really... I just want to listen to you, pretty much. I always like to say, like, yes, this is my show, my podcast, my name's on it, but I want it to be as much as, like, my guest show as much as it is mine, and them telling their story. And, like, you take away the microphones and we're just sitting in a cigar bar, like, I want to learn about you, right? Like, I'm not there to talk about me, because once I learn about you, now I can change me or take things that I've learned and I'll go be that for someone else and be the you that you were to me to them. And I think kind of that's like your goal in a sense, right? But I even feel like it's wrong calling it your goal, because, like, you don't have a motive. It's just what is. And one of the big things I took from you last time when we met, and I've probably said it 4 or 5 times, and I said it on the podcast I recorded prior to this, was that we are the only beings on all of planet Earth that can create something. And at one point, everything we see was one person's idea. It may have taken other people to bring it together, all the time. But it was, you know, I don't even think I knew that at that point, right? Like, you know that all the animals, the mammals, insects, like, they all do the same thing if we look at it, right? We can study them. They have their ways. They do this.
Specific blueprint.
Yep. But there is no true blueprint for us. We can be anything we want to be. And I think that's like the most beautiful lesson that I've learned since meeting you. And again, I think I would like to believe that I knew that before, but hearing you say it allows me to kind of look into the past and see and kind of take more value in the things that I've been able to do and the people that I've been able to help, the relationships I've made, and just the people that have come into my life that changed me, right? You're able to take stock in that. And I mean, I'm sure there's going to be 100 other things by the time we're done here today that I'll be able to do that with. But I don't even want to say my goal, because I truly believe it is a purpose now, where the things that I'm learning, I didn't just meet you by chance, and it happens with a lot of other people, whether it's just in business or it's purely this like things. I would categorize you as like the soul. If I was going to teach or talk to somebody, like, it is purely just the soul, the energy, the being that you are, and in that is helping people and sharing your stories and relating to them, and not being sympathetic but empathetic, because you truly understand. And so, to end the tangent, I would just say, I know you're not going to stop, but don't ever stop. Like, I was just some kid in a cigar bar that you just completely just touched for the rest of his life,
My goal in life and what motivates me is this. Sounds weird. I want to be a happy old guy. Right? Because when you get old, when you're an elderly man or elderly woman, you have less opportunity to change things. At some point, your life becomes more about the residual effect of how you lived earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And if you lived a life burning bridges and really not adding value and, where you just were very self-serving, those years can seem long and empty.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels like losing the game. I don't care what you had earlier. If you don't win at the end, you didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if I can check these 4 boxes, and the boxes are, did I love on my loved ones in a way that they knew that I loved them? Box number 1. Box number 2, did I see this planet? Did I travel the earth? Did I see the different cultures and taste the different foods and see this big earth while I was on it?
Mm-hmm.
Or did I just stay in my corner? Number 3, did I add value to the lives of others? Is the planet a bit of a better place because I existed? And number 4, did I really use the gifts and talents that I was given to the fullest? And I think if you check all 4 boxes, you're good to go. When the ride ends, the ride ends.
Yep.
And there's no regret.
That I would say, those are like 4 staples, right? Like, for me, I would agree with everything you said. Do I think of those 4 every day? Probably not. For me, it's, the big thing is, did my loved ones know that I loved them, right? And know that I loved them, mm-hmm. right? Did I understand how they received love and needed love and gave it to them, not because I knew that they needed it that way, but because I wanted to? The other thing is, am I being, now that I have a daughter, am I being a good example of the young lady that she's going to be and watch me every day, right? Am I being somebody where she's going to say, yeah, that's my dad, and not get, embarrassed that I want to kiss her when I drop her off at school, right? Give her a little kiss on the cheek. Is my lady that is the backbone to the man I am today proud of who she helped create, And then the last thing, which I think, because I've touched base on everybody that I do know, right? But everybody that I didn't know, whether it was a 3-second interaction or a 3-hour conversation, was I kind to them? And did I impact them? Or did I cause them to go home and get upset at dinner and tell them how I cut them off and flipped them the bird in the car, which I've never done, right? But that, as an example, like, just be kind to everybody, and I believe that the world will be kind to you. It's just you get what you give.
Right.
And that's just, I mean, that's just why I needed to have you here today, because I feel like I know these things, and like I live every day as a good person because I want to be, and because I've seen what it's done for myself and the people I've been around. But I need to hear it in other words from other people. And
that's what we do. That's what I do. That's what you do, is we say things in our unique way. There's not much new to be said. I'm never saying anything new.
No,
I'm
but
just saying it in the way it comes out of me. So it's heard differently. And the way it's going to come out of you, it's heard differently. It sounds new. It hits somebody differently, right? Your message is going to hit that right person that could only have heard it from you and the way you delivered it.
I was just going to say that. Not everybody's going to get it, your message.
100%.
You know?
100%. And that's why we never have to question ourselves. You never have to question a calling. You never have to wonder if you're good enough. We are creators. Everything that we create is our art. Speaking is my art. Whatever you create is your art. When you're an artist, you don't need validation. You know, whoever drew this, what's behind me, doesn't need validation. That's your art. You know, if I went to a karaoke contest and it was me and Bob Dylan, I'd win. I'd win.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, because I can hold a note better than Bob Dylan can, but I'm not Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Right? He's Bob Dylan. He's a legend because he's doing Bob Dylan. It's not a contest. It's not a contest. He's doing his art, and he's one of the greatest to ever do it. So you never have to question something that's coming from your soul. You never have to compare it. And we live in a world that just compares everything.
Well, that's just all it is all day on social media. It's all a competition.
It's not a competition. You do you.
I think if a lot of people realize that they are all artists, or we are all creators, and it doesn't have to be physical art or an artist singing, but just at the very root of the core meaning of the word, if people tapped into that more, I think we would have a very different world today.
And also, not just looking at the brightest stars as being the ones with talent or the ones with a gift. I like to say this.
Everybody.
Yeah, I like to say this. People are like, it's like a light bulb. You got a 40-watt light, got a 60, a 80, a 100-watt light, then you have a halogen lamp. It's like a street light, okay? People tend to only look at the 100-watt light and the halogen lamp as being the talented ones, the gifted. No, it's not true. A 40-watt bulb is that aunt. We just got done Thanksgiving, right? Everyone's got an aunt. She's got the best Thanksgiving dinner. She's got the warmest house. Her house always smells like something's cooking. It's comfortable. She always checks on everybody. That's a 40-watt bulb. How important is a 40-watt bulb to a family? That's the glue to a family. Can there be anything more important than the glue to a family? So that person's gift might be cooking. It might be the meals that they make. It might be that they have a great ear and people come to them for advice. They know how to bring people together. They know how to love on people. That's a 40-watt bulb. It's warm. You don't want a 100-watt bulb in the room you like to chill in your house. Too bright.
Yep.
Okay? Somebody else is a 60 or 80-watt bulb. Maybe you're a school teacher. Maybe you're coaching Little League. Maybe you're a local politician. 80, 100-watt bulb. A little brighter, doing bigger things in the community. Halogen lamp is somebody that you don't even want that in the house. That's for the whole world to share. That's the Martin Luther Kings of the world. That's the Gandhis of the world.
Yep.
People who have a message for the world. I know for myself I'm a halogen lamp. That's why I do what I do. People who get in relationships with people like that have to share them. You got to share them with the world.
I have to.
But one's not better than the other. They're all needed. So just because your gift is not something that's showy. Maybe it's not on a stage. Maybe you're not somebody who can paint or dance or sing. You have something in you that is needed, and you must see it. Because for good to become great, you must acknowledge that you have the gift.
Yep.
And then you can use it with intention, and that makes all the difference in the world.
You know, I don't say this out loud often. My whole life, I never knew what I wanted to do. I played sports. I'm 5'6". I never grew, so I'm not going pro. But until I was too old, I thought I would still be pro, right? So when reality hit and I was trying to figure out what am I going to do with my life, how am I going to make money, provide for a family, I had no idea, absolutely none. And then one day it just hit that I love people. I mean, I always knew that. I love having conversations. I'm a people person. At one point, I was a people pleaser to a fault. But I love people. I have so many friends of so many backgrounds, different ages. And if I could just get them all in one room together, I swear it would be like the world's best. It'd be like the Last Supper. And that's truly how I feel about the people that I've interacted with, because everybody has something so magical and so different about themselves that my other friends may not have. And I just want them to know, because if they met you, you know, or if they learned that seed oils are bad in their foods, like it would change their life. And so I got to, you know, I've been able to tap into that through real estate by helping people. And it's now allowed me to meet more people. And so like I'm so excited for mine and my lady's wedding, because all these people that don't know each other are going to be able to come together and just like feel the love that like you bring, that I've been able to feel. And that's like what this show is to like, you know, I can't take you to my mom and my dad's and then also to my grandma's and my best friends all in one night. So how can I let them see this man that I've told them about that like touched my heart? Do it on a podcast.
You know,
You know,
and what a great,
I just want to bring people together.
what a great talent. That's a talent in and of itself. Being a people person on the level that you're a people person, that's amazing. And for you, what will happen is opportunities will keep being presented to you because you touch a lot of people and you bring people together. And when you do that, you just create opportunity. You know, I always say we are the biggest components of our own prayer, right? When you're moving in the direction of what you want, then the people, opportunity, and circumstances appear. But for somebody like you that goes out of their way to introduce themselves and to embrace people, magic is going to happen on a level you can't even imagine. Because do that for 10 years, see what happens.
Oh, I've been doing it for about 5.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you just look back and you're like, holy smokes. The things I've learned, the help that I've received, and what I've been able to do with that to help and share with others. Like me 10 years ago wouldn't believe that I would be here. Not financially, you know, not the house I'm in or the car I drive, but just the way I view the world and the way I help people, like the way I want to help people and the drive that I feel for it. I don't know, I'd probably cry, because like it just seemed like it wasn't obtainable, you know, or it was very taboo. We sit and have this conversation, people around listening to us are going to think we're crazy. Or if I sat here and tried to have these conversations and post a video online of just me talking to a camera, it's still taboo. It's weird. Oh, he's full of himself. They don't get this this human connection of like, we can both feel what's happening in the room right now, you know? And if we as an earth can do that more, I mean, I think this shift you're feeling would be even greater.
I like to say too, it's important for people to understand that confidence and conceit aren't the same thing. The gifts that you're given, you should be confident in, because they're gifts.
Yeah.
Right? And understanding, again, it's not about you, that you are the carrier, you're the vessel that these gifts come through. and see what's great about you, and then see what's great about your neighbor.
Yeah. So I have one question here before we'll wrap it up then, now that you said that. So I am very confident in myself. I'm very proud of the things I've done, the things that I've accomplished, and the things that I still want to do. But even in this conversation, right, like I say one thing, but then like I backstep because I know that somebody listening may take it the wrong way. Do I just not give a
No,
shit?
you can't spend time worrying about that. You know, everybody's at a different level, different vibration, different frequency. And you can't work to appease people who are not at the level that you speak at. They're going to have their own story about what you said.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have their own label, their own thing they want to box it in. And you can't worry about that because the people who are supposed to get your message will get your message.
Yep.
And if social media teaches you anything, read the comments of anything that's supposed to even be positive.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be somebody with some weird take who just sees
Yep.
something weird in it. And you really can't worry about that. Do you, and do you in full confidence. Be kind, be caring, be understanding, be compassionate, and confident at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really hard thing to try and, diss.
Yep. Yep. I think we can encapsulate that all just like lead with love. Because I think that's everything you just said. Well, I think that's the perfect...
You want another poem to go out on?
I was just going to say,
Okay.
last poem and
Okay.
anything to end it off.
Let me speak to the audience. Which camera's mine?
This one right here.
This is called In the Blink of an Eye. And this is so all of you can understand there's no rewind buttons to life, no do-overs. All that's real is this present moment. Time goes by quickly as we end another year. In the blink of an eye, each moment becomes the past. You see, nothing stays forever. Only the memories last. A young woman, she dreams of her wedding day. In a blink, the day is here. And then it's gone away. Our babies and toddlers, we watch them frolic and play. But in a blink, they grow up. And they're no longer this way. Now grown and on their own. In the blink of an eye. Sometimes we all wonder, when did the years pass by? In the blink of an eye, our elders are gone. Suddenly it's upon us to pick up and carry on. In the blink of an eye, we are young no more. So ask yourself this one question: what am I waiting for? Live a life that's inspired. Don't let it end with regret. Find your purpose and your passion, one this world won't soon forget. The time is now. You've got one life to live, so spread your wings and fly. For this ride, it may be over in the blink of an eye.
That's beautiful. Our producer over here is about to lose it. That's beautiful. You're beautiful. I don't have words.
Thank
Honestly,
you,
the things, what I would want to articulate, I would need you to go talk to yourself in the mirror. I appreciate you being here, sitting down with me. You are so more important than I think that this show is at the moment. So you even being here is like, makes me feel good. I'm more confident. And I'm going to be, when I'm older and wiser, I want you to know that I'm going to tell people that part of things and a lot of what I'm learning and how I've lived is from Mr. Rodney Allgood.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Cell with GNL Cells. Rodney Allgood. You can find him, Mr._Allgood, on all platforms. He's amazing. I promise he's going to change your life. Just do it. I'll catch you later.